Welcome to the I Am Great podcast. I'm your host, Eugene Walker, and here we got a very special guest, one of my brothers, Josiah Tejada. Go ahead and explain to the people, tell the people who you is, man, and what you are accomplishing today.
All right, so my name is Josiah Tejada. I'm 18 years old, living here in Topeka, Kansas. A little background about me. I'm currently working at Stormont Vale Emergency Room. I'm a first year college student. I'm going to college. Um, yeah,
What are you studying in college?
in college right now, my major is psychology, but I plan to switch it to respiratory science and get my bachelor's in respiratory science or respiratory therapy, and then pursue a career as a respiratory therapist.
So what else you doing, man? Flex on 'em a little bit, man.
What do you want to know?
Tell them about your car, man. How a 17-year-old kid was able to afford a $40,000 car.
All right, so about a year ago, I was very fortunate to be able to buy my dream car, 2020 Subaru WRX. It's been one of my dream cars since they came out, and just working hard, staying out the way, and just being smart with my money, I was able to buy that car, and I've been enjoying it ever since. I've been modifying it, been doing all types of stuff, taking this guy for rides,
Man,
making videos on it. Yeah, it's one of my dreams, and I was able to do that at a very young age. So truly blessed.
blessed. All right, man. Let's get into this episode. So let's take a blast to the past, man. Let's tell the people about Josiah growing up, elementary, middle school, high school. Let's get into that journey.
All right. Elementary school, I was I'd say like average kid. Man, we got to edit that out.
I just keep going, bro.
um, yeah, I was What do you want to know?
What was life like in elementary school for Josiah?
Elementary school, I was living with my mom. I wouldn't, we were probably little bit below average. Um, I was wearing clothes that were too small, shoes that didn't fit. Um, just really, there wasn't really a whole lot I could do. Um, I was just living with my mom, just, yeah, not gonna get too deep into things, because some of that's a little personal. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot I could do. And then fast forward to middle school, man, as early as I can remember, I was always obsessed with like money and the hustle and just working on things. So I started flipping shoes. That was probably one of my first like real hustles that really showed me what it was like to earn like money and what it was like to work for money. I was flipping shoes. I was restoring shoes. That was probably one of my main sources of income was restoring shoes,
Mm.
especially beat up Air Force Ones.
He said the beat up Air Forces.
Man, and they know who they were back then. Still people rocking beat up Air Force Ones. Nothing wrong with that, but come to me, I could fix them.
Man,
But yeah, so I was doing that. I was trying to cut grass, do anything I could to get a little bit of money, and that's kind of where like the obsession started. Really, was middle school. Like just always wanting some sort of hustle. Always just craving money. Really, just yeah, doing anything I could to get some.
so when you were young, did you have something in mind that you wanted to buy, or is just like, oh, I know I don't have any money, so I really want to go get some? What did you have something in your mind that you wanted to buy, or was it you just knew you didn't have any money and you wanted to get some?
Yeah, no, really, what it was for me is just like I didn't have any money, so I knew like at some point in my life I don't want to save up, and like there were things I wanted to buy when I was younger, but as I got older, those things changed, especially with the growth of income.
Mm.
The stuff that you want to buy, like the goals you have to buy, it changes with the more money you're making. Also, as you get older and mature a little bit more, your wants and your needs change. So when I was younger, I was just saving I was just making money just to make money, just to be able to buy the things I wanted to buy. Now, I'm saving and making money for my future, trying to set myself up as best as I can as an adult and a young adult.
Mm.
So that way I'm not out here, struggling like a lot of people our age. So,
Man, so what was your first pair of hype beast shoes that you can remember?
first pair of hypebeast shoes.
Ones that you really worked hard for, that you can really remember? Like, dang, I finally got these.
The alternate five lows, the black and red pair. That was my first pair of Jordans that I ever bought myself, and I really wish I would have kept them because right now they're going for a decent amount of money.
Mm.
But at the time, man, they were sitting at Foot Locker, and that's kind of when I started getting into shoes a little bit. I was watching Rejuvenator.
Man,
I used to
I
always
think,
watch the Rejuvenator videos of restoring, and that's kind of what started getting me into shoes a little bit. And so I bought the Fire Red Fives from Foot Locker. That was my first pair of Jordans, and I'll never forget that. I wore those faithfully in middle school.
bro, wore them to the dirt.
Man, I love those shoes. But other than that, probably the Aqua 8s. That was like probably my first like real like expensive like shoe.
Mm.
But at the time, that's when they had came out. So now they haven't released for a couple of years. But at the time, I had got them for retail. But that was the first pair of shoes I ever spent like over like $150 on.
Mm.
And yeah, those
So,
shoes.
in middle school, would you say is that when you really had the collection? Because in high school, I don't think you were really too into shoes and flipping them like that. So is
Yeah.
that really when you had the collection?
High school, I was more focused on bigger things. I wasn't worried about shoes. I didn't want to be one of those guys that has a $5,000 shoe collection and don't got no car. Like
Yeah.
you just walking in those shoes. But middle school, I'd say like eighth grade is like when the collection like really started, and then like sophomore year is probably when I really stopped like buying shoes because like it was either my freshman year or sophomore year I got my first job, so I actually had like a decent amount of like steady income.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I can't just be buying. If I'm only making at the time working at the car wash, my checks were only like $300-$400 every 2 weeks.
Mm.
And at the time I thought that was the most money in the world. But now that I look at it, I wouldn't be able to survive off of $200-$300-$400 every 2 weeks.
Man,
But
they had y'all messed up at the car wash. How much
you,
y'all was
you worked
making?
there too.
Man,
But
no, but like when y'all was working there, it was
yeah,
what? How much?
850 plus tips.
Yeah,
But at the
man.
time, at 14 years old, making $8.50, I was so happy. Like that to me, that was a lot of money.
That's crazy
And
because when I worked at the club car wash, they was paying us 15, and the checks is looking pretty decent.
yeah,
But
they're weird for that.
we're not
But
we're
yeah,
not gonna get into club car
yeah.
wash because that was it was a solid job, but
I'm not even gonna say their name. I'm not gonna promote them. I'm
man
not gonna do none of
man
that. It was not a solid job for me. It was cool to wash the cars. Anything other than that, I'll never work there again.
man. Let's get into the pit nights they had us doing.
Absolutely not. but yeah, freshman year is like I'd say like eighth grade and freshman year was when I really started buying like Yeezys and like Off Whites and stuff like that because I had like a decent like steady income. But then like sophomore year, junior year, I had like really focused up and realized I don't want to be spending all my money on shoes and clothes and stuff. I have bigger and better things that I want to buy.
Hmm.
So probably like freshman year is when I like kind of slowed down on the collection. And I'm not gonna lie, I still buy shoes every now and then. Like it's always gonna be a hobby that I love. I'm not gonna put my hard-earned money into shoes every single paycheck.
Mm.
My collection now is pretty solid, but really, I just started to realize, like why am I buying $300-$400 pairs of shoes?
Mm.
Like really, if you see me now, all I wear is like Vans, Pumas. Well, right now I got Yeezys on, but like I still wear them every now and then, but it's not what I'm really trying to focus on. I'm really trying to
Mm.
focus on bigger and better things. There's a lot of better things I could put my money into that's gonna make me money, or at least get my return back. And
Selling shoes, you can do the same thing
yeah,
if you really sit down and put your mind to it.
it's
But
a dicey market though because you really don't know what's gonna go for a lot of money and what's not.
mm.
Plus, for people that are into like buying shoes and flipping shoes, that most of these shoes are on drops. Like you have to get the
Right.
drop, and if you don't have a bot service, you're not hitting. Like
Bro,
any off whites or like crazy shoes, if you don't have bots working for you, which is crazy. I wish they'd get rid of that, but that's how people are making their living. There's people making a living off of that.
mm.
But me personally, I did look into buying bots when I was still heavy into flipping shoes, but man, it was
You're going
five
to jail.
$5,000 for 15 bots, and I mean,
And then you gotta pay for the money to buy the shoes.
Yep.
So it's like running a real business.
It's worth it, but at the time at 14, 15, I'm not spending $5,000 on a program,
But think
you
about it.
know.
If you would have saved up and actually spent that $5,000,
Yeah.
where would you be now? But like, we're not like. I
The shoe
mean,
market's also not how it used to be when I was really getting into it now. Like there's just so many shoes coming out now. Like when we were in middle school and like really focused like on Yeezys and stuff, that was when the original 350s were out. So those shoes were going for over $1,000. You can buy a pair of 350s now at some Foot Lockers.
220.
Yeah, like it's not the same. Like it's just a flood of shoes, and it's not as limited as it used to be. Anybody can get these shoes now. Back then, you had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and they weren't really doing a whole lot of drops online. Most of them were like in stores. So you were camping out, or you were, now you're losing to somebody who spent $5,000 on 15 bots sitting in their living room. That's
Eating a bag of Cheetos.
eating a bag of Cheetos, and they just hit on all 15 pairs, and you're over here trying to do it manually. You're not gonna win. It's not at all how it used to be.
Man. So what was the most amount of pairs? What was the most amount of shoes you had at one time? How big did your collection get?
It wasn't like too big. I'd say the most I think was like almost 40 pairs, which I mean to some people that's a lot. But I had noticed it had like start to become a problem when I was like losing shoes. Like I knew that they were somewhere, but I just like I had I'd keep for whatever reason I'd keep like 4 or 5 pairs in my car just in case I needed like to switch some shoes out. I had shoes of my dad's, I had shoes of my mom's. I was losing shoes. I'd forget that I had bought a pair of shoes, find them brand new in the box still. So I had kind of like slowed down on buying them. Plus, like, there's really not a whole lot of places like to wear them to. Like, especially now that I'm not going to school, because I do online school for college. But I mean, the only shoes I really wear are shoes I wear to work, and I work in the ER, so I'm not getting a pair of Yeezys, thrown up on, or somebody bleeds on them, or somebody's finger falls off and hits them. Like you'll catch me in some Ultra Boost or something comfortable because I walk a lot. So. But yeah, I'd say the most was probably like about 40 pairs.
So what got you into fitteds, bro? Cause I know you got like
Hats.
just as many hats as shoes.
So I know I said, I'm focused on better things, but hats. I've been buying a lot of hats recently, and I've always like just in the last like year or two, I think like also because of TikTok, like fitted hats have become like a trend. But man, I could show you pictures of me wearing fitted hats when I was 4 years old. Like I've always worn them, always. And now like the fitted hat game has just been crazy. Like they've been coming out with some crazy designs, crazy colorways. So that's something I don't mind spending my money on. This is like one of the times where you won't see me with the hat, and that's just because I got my haircut recently. But like after 2 days of me not having a haircut, always rocking a fitted. It's just I don't know. I feel like it's a way to express yourself. It's a same thing with shoes and clothes. Like that's really a way of like self-expression, and you can like give people a little insight into your life and your personality just on what you're wearing.
You see it. You see the drip, man.
Yeah, like my guy Eugene, you can tell he's very professional. Me, you can tell that
he's a cool guy.
That it's my day off, so I'm about to wear some sweatpants and a hoodie.
Hey, I just got out of church, so
yeah, I wear stuff like this every single day. So yeah, fitted hats, man. Just I've always liked them. They look good with short hair, long hair, and some people can rock them, some people can't. But me, I have my fitted hat collection is way more than my shoe collection. I have a lot.
Man, you'll never catch me rocking a fitted.
I got a mini lids in my room. Like I used to have a hat wall, and then I had to take them down because I didn't have any more space. So I mean, I have a lot of hats. So, but also I'm into like buying like exclusive hats. Like I have a couple brand new Supreme box logo fitteds, which if you know Supreme hats, you know that they don't release the fitteds very often. They release snapbacks every now and then, but like the fitted box logo hats, those go for some money. So, and I have like the red ones too. Red colorways go for the most because that's classic Supreme.
Yeah.
So it to me it's also like a sort of like investment, kind of like with flipping shoes. Sometimes I flip hats. Like when I go on like trips and stuff. Like I just went to New York, bought like four or five pairs of hats, brought them back for some people and sold them here.
Mm.
because they have like a hat club up there. They have stuff that we don't have here, and yeah, so I was bringing them back, selling them. When we were in San Diego, I bought probably like 6, 7 pairs of hats. Uh, Kept like three, sold the rest of them when we got back, and I'm making a decent little profit off of it.
Mm.
So
So, like you said, bro, shoes and clothes, and even what you just spend your money on, it gives you a way to express yourself. And I'm not saying like spend your 80% of your check on clothes and shoes, but like I feel like you should spend about 40% of your money,
that's
maybe.
I think it depends on how much you're making. I
Yeah.
think that your look is very important.
Oh, whoa. I wasn't saying 40% on your clothes or nothing.
Oh yeah,
40% of your money on like living like you're gonna live for the next 50 days, and then 60% living like you're gonna live for the next 50 years. So you
yeah.
can have that balance, and you can still have fun, and but it does make sense. Like if you're only making $200, spending 40%,
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt you.
I think it definitely depends on like your income and the way that you live, the way that you have to live. But I do think that spending money on your look is very important because that's the first thing people notice about you. And it's sad to say, but there are stereotypes out there. So, and like people know them. You can say that they're not there, but they are.
Mm.
Everybody has stereotypes, and just spending money on your look can really like make or break some situations. Like if you show up to a job interview, you're not gonna wear ripped jeans and a fitted hat and a hoodie. And like you gotta dress to adapt to your surroundings.
It's crazy though, cause I did show up to my interview with a black shirt on and a
But that's because you didn't know it was an interview. You
yeah
just went because you thought you
yeah
were
it,
meeting with the managers and stuff. But yeah, I do think that being able to adapt to your surroundings is one of the best qualities that a person can have.
mm,
Not saying that you should change yourself by any means, but there's certain times to act certain ways around people.
mm.
Like the way I act with my friends is not going to be the same way I act at work. It's not going to be the same way I interact with patients, with my bosses. So that's a very important skill to have. And if you don't have that skill, you should definitely learn how to do it.
Mm. So let's get into the journey, man. That first job. How did you get that first job?
First job.
What was your first job?
So my first job was I forgot what they call it. Basically, all I would do is really everything at the car wash.
Mm.
I'd clean cars. My first job I got because of my guy Monte. Shout out to Monte, man. Love you, bro. He started working there. I had just turned 15. This was literally because I had talked to him when I was 14 about getting a job, and they said wait till you turn 15. The day after my 15th birthday, I went in for a job interview, and they hired me a couple of days later. Um, yeah, I was washing cars, cleaning cars, doing like minor detailing, and I was doing that for a little bit, and then as time went on, I had really liked, I'd always hustled. Like I tried to do whatever I could to make some money. So they were talking about like selling memberships, and like we had people whose job was to sell memberships to the car wash, but I've always just wanted to learn as much as I can,
Mm.
especially like when it comes to work, because just the more you know, the more that you're able to adapt. You can go anywhere, and like say for Stormont, which is my second job, once you start learning different things, you can go anywhere in the whole hospital.
Mm.
But back to the car wash, I was learning how to sell memberships because there was commission based off of that. And it got to the point where I was doubling the sales that the actual people whose job was to sell memberships, I was doubling what they were selling
Mm.
every month while washing cars too. And, it's just, I loved selling things. I loved interacting with people. I loved negotiating. I loved telling them the pros and cons of what they're buying. It was like a game to me almost. And
Sales is a game.
exactly, it is. It's a game. It's cat and mouse. It's all just a game. And
If
I
you
loved that.
if you can provide value, you can sell value. So everything has a price. So just like food, and that's one of the biggest things that is a necessity. And I think food is probably not the easiest thing to sell, but like it's not hard at all to sell
Yeah.
food. Like if you're at a game and you want a glizzy, man, you gonna
If you're
go,
hungry, you're gonna buy something to eat.
man.
Yeah.
Like
It's supply and demand.
yeah,
And that's what I kind of learned at the car wash. People are like, well, why should I buy a membership? Well, I noticed that I see you come in here twice a week, and it's $20 per wash if you don't have a membership, or you could pay $20 a month and come in every day. Like just trying to give them, some benefits while trying to, sell the product for the company.
Man.
And that's what I was doing. But the car wash got old pretty quick after, like,
What is one of the bro? Tell them about the pit nights, bro. That's one of the reasons that made me
man.
quit.
So I didn't mind it. I don't mind like physical labor, like getting dirty, but the pit was crazy. So if you've ever been to an automatic car wash and you wonder where all the dirt and water and everything coming off your car goes, there's this big trough in the middle of the car wash that runs all the way down. And first off, it smells like dead bodies. It's about no, like, not even trying to be funny. It's probably about like half a foot or a foot just straight mud.
5-6 inches, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to take all the guards off, get in there,
Get inside
of it with mud, and they give you those little
tiny ass shovels,
cheap Walmart boots that have leaks in them,
I swear.
and you have like your feet are soaked, you got mud in them, but you don't even care anymore because you're already like covered in mud, and you have to clean the whole thing out. You're scooping it into buckets
with tiny shovels. Like,
and then
we're gonna put a picture of what the shovels look like.
The trash pit. Did you ever have to clean that?
Mm-mm.
So there's the pit, and then there's the trash pit. The trash pit is everything that came out of the pit. So like the reason the pit wouldn't drain is because the trash pit was full. And I'm not even joking you. You had to it's probably about like 10 feet down, like in the ground. You had to get a ladder. And it's probably about 2 or 3 feet deep of mud when it'll get clogged up. And I think it was mud. It might have been sewage. I don't even know, bro. I don't know what they had going on in the car wash, but it was disgusting.
And they made us come in after, like, so.
After you're supposed to leave or come in early for a shift.
So pit nights were every Friday, and you have to be there. So we close at 8. They start at 9. Man. And if you had to work in the morning, if you had to work in the morning, you still had to come. And it was mandatory, non-negotiable, or they would fire you. And I mean,
shout out to my club car wash though. He worked at a different location. We did the pit probably once every 2 months, and that was only when management came.
Well, it wasn't once every Friday, but
it was like always on Fridays.
Yeah, It was crazy because some people wouldn't show up, and then they would start yelling at us. Oh, I wish So the reason why I quit, bro. Half our crew didn't show up to pit night, bro.
It was just him.
It was just me and this other dude, bro. Like, no, it was 2 people, bro. We had an 8-man crew and 2 people showed up.
Oh, man.
So, no, it wasn't even a pit night. It was a clean night because they had big bosses coming in.
When you had to scrub the arches with the SOS pads.
We had to scrub arches
by hand with a little 1-inch SOS pad,
bro,
to polish the steel that you couldn't even see if you were a customer because your car was covered with soap.
And then they had us, the blowers? They had us polishing those, bro. And there's 2 of us.
Yeah, no, they never made us do that. That's crazy.
It was 12 o'clock at night, bro. And this is one of the craziest stories. So it's like 12 o'clock, bro, and we're nowhere near done.
This can't follow child labor laws. There's no way.
Yeah, there's something going on. But
Club Car Wash got a class action lawsuit coming for him.
But it was like 12 o'clock, and I'm like, when can we go home? They was like, when we finish. Who are you talking to? So I'm like, I just noticed this was not gonna end well. So I go into the office, and I'm starting to get dressed, and then the manager, he walks in. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What does it look like? Getting dressed." And he was like, "So if you leave, you're fired." I was, "See ya."
That's what I did too. I'm not gonna lie. I walked out because one of my coworkers had this little Acura, and he used to do burnouts in the drive, like in the little parking lot area, and they made me go out there and power wash his burnout marks while he was working. And I told him, I was like, I'm not the one who did this. And then my boss called in, like the big boss, and he came in and started yelling at me. And I was like, you guys are crazy for making me do something when the other guy who did it is here. Mm-hmm. So I went and got dressed, and they're like, if you leave, that counts as abandoning your shift, and you're gonna get written up. I was like, well, there's no point in writing me up because I quit. And then I didn't even have a car at the time. I had texted my dad like 30 minutes before and told him to come pick me up because I was quitting.
Man,
And also, I had a interview at Stormont Vale, and so I was like, this is gonna give me motivation to really blow them away at the interview because I don't have a job. So if I don't get this job, I don't have one.
man, I done
So
had like 7 jobs. I ain't gonna lie, your boy be
man,
worked at Dairy Queen, Burger King, Club Car Wash, Hy-Vee, Sonic,
Stormont,
Stormont,
Nissan.
Nissan. That's 7 jobs. There's another one I'm forgetting, but yeah, I done had 7 jobs, bro. So get into the Stormont story, bro.
All right, so Stormont, like I said, I was working at the car wash for probably like 3 months. So I was still 15 when I had applied at Stormont, and I had gotten the job working as a nutritional service technician, which is basically a fancy way of saying I delivered food to people.
Hmm.
And when I got hired, I was 15 years old. I was the youngest employee that Stormont has ever hired. They had volunteers that were older than me that they wouldn't give jobs to because they didn't feel they were old enough.
Mm.
So at 15, I started working there. After about a couple months, I had realized that it's a good job, and I started off making 9.90 an hour, and then after about a month or two, I had worked my way up to 12.45. They had changed like the minimum pay, and then they changed the minimum pay again after like a year to $15 an hour, and I was 15, 16 years old making $15 an hour. I thought that was like the most money ever. And after a couple months, I had gotten like a lot of my friends and even family hired.
Man, we was up
Um,
there chilling.
I honestly had got probably like 8 or 9 people hired up in my department
Hmm.
because I've always been a firm believer in like if you're doing something right, you should try to put on as many people as you can, and I still believe that. I'm just a little bit more weary of
Stick your neck out
who
for
I
it, cause
stick my neck out for
they
because
can chop that motherfucker off.
there's some people honestly who have I've stuck my neck out for them and then they like embarrassed me or made me look bad,
Hmm.
and so I'll never do that again. But yeah, anyway, so I had gotten hired up there, and after about a year, they had asked me if I wanted to be a team lead, and I accepted. I was 16,
Hmm.
almost 17, and I was the youngest team lead that Stormont had ever had. And then I had worked that job for like about another year,
Hmm.
and then just recently in the
Whoa, so let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. When you were working that job, when did you get the Honda? Talk about the Honda that you were building.
okay, so I had got the Honda.
Before you came a team lead or after?
It was before I started Stormont. I had
Really?
got the Honda like a week before I started Stormont.
Mm.
My dad always told me that he would buy me my first car as long as I was doing what I was supposed to.
Mm.
And to him that meant staying out of trouble. I had to get at least B's or above in school, and he told me like I'll buy you your first car. He's like it's not gonna be anything crazy. He's like but it'll get you from A to B,
Mm.
and I'm forever thankful for that. For, because that's kind of what started my love of cars too.
Mm.
And it was a '98 Honda Accord. I had gotten it probably about like a week or two before I started at Stormont, and yeah, I bought that car, or he bought that car, and if you know my Honda, I did basically like a full restoration almost.
Talk about what you put into it and like get into the numbers, man.
Uh,
Because that's an inspiration to somebody that's wanting to
uh
build a car
yeah, for
and
sure. So keep in mind, I'm like 15, 16 years old building this car. I'm not gonna lie, I did everything like major on the car in probably about 3 months. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. I had probably about $70 in my account, probably less than that for that whole time,
mm,
because every check I'll get was going straight to the car. I had very poor money management skills. I was also 15, getting some real money for the first time. I had never had any experiences like that. But first thing I did was window tint. That was a day after I got the car. I drove the car for like 3 hours, and I had to go drop it off at the window tinting place, and it was there for like a day.
mm.
That was 150 bucks, $180. Like 2 weeks after that, I did a full sound system. Or no, I did all aftermarket speakers in a head unit. That was about $600. And then like a week after that, I went back because I wanted some subs.
Mm.
I had a Kicker Comp R12 with a 1,000 watt amp and a custom insulated box. That ran me about $800. Um, and then at the time, I was still like really starting to get into cars. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do,
Mm.
so I put like these ugly black wheels on it, and then I realized that was a good choice, so I sold that. Um, I bought coilovers and then wheels and tires all at the same time. That ran me probably about $2,500 for all those, which honestly really isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, put those on. I got the whole car rust corrected. Um, I got all the dents popped, all the scratches fixed, and I got the whole car repainted. That was $1,000, which is a steal.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like unheard of. But I had a family friend do it. He got me a good price. I added more flake to the car.
Should we build a Honda, boys?
Yeah, for sure. I added a front lip, a rear, a little duck lip spoiler. Um, what else I do? Slammed it. That I slammed it, and then I had sold those coilovers, bought new True Heart coilovers,
Mm-hmm.
and really lowered it. I had an exhaust on there, full exhaust, a MagnaFlow. I had a cold air intake, and then yeah, I think that's really it. Like I
Yeah.
didn't do nothing too crazy. It was a clean, cool little daily. Um, Altogether, I added it up. I think I put like almost 5 grand into the car.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, to me, it was worth it. I don't regret it at all. It was a '98 Accord when I got it. It had 86,000 miles. When I sold it, I had it for 2 years. It had 98,000 miles. So I only drove it 10,000 miles in 2 years.